Living green or sustainably is about more than saving on your electric bill and doing your part to protect natural resources. It is about a safer and healthier life for you and your family without sacrificing style, quality, or budget. This is a movement to provide all of us with clean air to breathe and water to drink, safe, healthy food to eat and places to live, and energy to run the places where we live, learn, play, and work. The Green Gap podcast helps you get the value of green for you, your family, and your community. Whether it's green homes, green living, or the people who make it happen, join me, Marla Esser-Close, to learn how green and sustainability practices and products work for our world and you. Welcome to the Green Gap. This is Marla Close, the Green Home Coach, and I am so excited today to be in studio in Oklahoma City, or actually in Edmond. I'm in Vault 405, so I get to give a shout out with Kim Owens, and Kim is an energy auditor. Doesn't that sound like fun?
Yes, sounds real special.
Well, it is special.
Yeah.
But I think so many people kind of hear that term and think boring.
Or they have no idea. They're just like, oh, okay, I don't know what you do.
Okay, so there you go. That's a great segue. Tell me, what do you do?
So I go to homes and I audit the homes, go from the outside to the attic to the inside, and just give an overview of here's what's going on with your home. Here are ways you can be more energy efficient. Most of them are pretty easy and pretty economical ways to make their homes more energy efficient. Typically, the way I work is I contract, my company I work for, Precise Building Performance, we contract with all the utility companies.
Oh.
And so that's how you kind of, most people get energy efficiency audits here in the state of Oklahoma is through their utility company.
Okay, so I want to come back to that because that's a whole cool discussion, or hot, depending on your climate, right? Sorry, ta-dum-bum. But that's a great conversation just right there. And I know you and I met, I think, at a networking event. I was trying to remember. You remembered better than I did.
Yeah, we were at it was actually, I had just started as an energy efficiency auditor, and it was kind of like an energy efficiency summit the utility companies were putting on, I believe.
You're right.
PSO?
Yep, up in Tulsa.
Yep.
Public Service, I can't remember what the O stands for. Anyway, it's the utility in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and much of the state. See, your memory's so much better than mine. And then we ran into each other at a women business networking breakfast.
Yes.
Now I got it. I got it. So what's been so cool about going to all these events is I've only lived back in Oklahoma for about 3 years, but it's given me the ability to meet people like you.
Right.
And when I first moved here from St. Louis, where I was very deep into green, sustainability, energy efficiency, and all that, because a lot of our key institutions in the city and the state were, I mean, I would go to events, I'd go to Earth Day events, and I'd see people from every utility and every waste company and, I mean, big companies and startups. I mean, everything in between. And so when I came here, I was kind of like, oh, how am I going to get to meet people in this? Because I knew it was a little more under the surface here.
Which is funny you say that, because I have lived in Oregon and Colorado, and I had never heard about energy efficiency audits.
Seriously?
In those days until I moved here. And I moved back here in 2015. And
so we came around the same time,
yeah.
Okay, so that's super impressive. So when we were driving, we went to go see the Pioneer Women's Lodge the other day. It was our outing this weekend. But it was really cool to be driving down the street and see the oil pumps with the wind turbines in the background. And that was such a juxtaposition to me that we are truly an energy state in Oklahoma, and it's not all about petroleum.
No. We have so many wind turbines.
Right.
And like OEC, that's a utility company I have in the town I live in, and like they have solar farms, you know.
So there's a lot that is under the surface, or so it appears, but maybe not really. So I think it strikes a lot of people, interestingly, it did me, to see that the utilities in Oklahoma were so into energy audits. So that's super cool. And so a couple of questions I want to dig into. One, I want to talk more about energy audits because I know, folks, that this doesn't sound like the most glamorous thing. It's like when I had the decision to repair my sewer pipe or redecorate my kitchen.
Right.
Yeah, right?
Right.
But one of them has to be done or things don't work.
Right.
Can't flush toilets. So I think a lot of people think of energy audits like that.
Yeah. I think a lot of people like myself, I didn't even know what that meant. I just saw it advertised in my utility company's newsletter, and it's free because most utility companies here in Oklahoma offer it as a complimentary service to their members. So of course I'm going to jump on it, right? A, I'm kind of a hippie, so I want to be green, and B, I knew the more energy efficient I could be, the more I could save money on my utility bill.
And that's the key, my friends. And it's not just about saving energy. When we save energy, we save money.
Yep.
We save carbon emissions.
Yep.
We save a lot of other greenhouse gas emissions. We improve our health in our own homes, on our communities, and in the bigger world, which you're hearing a lot right now.
Right.
So what I love, and actually almost everything I touch inside of green and sustainability, I'm finding there's usually that triple benefit.
Yeah, I think you asked me like what would be one fun fact about myself. Well, I'm also, because my background is in counseling and exercise physiology. So my other business is I am a holistic wellness coach. So I focus on our health, right? Mental health, physical health, and your home affects your health.
A lot.
So everything impacts, there's always a causal relationship for everything.
So true. So I think a lot of people think energy audits, oh my gosh, they're going to tell me to replace my windows or replace my HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning units. Notice I said ventilation in there, folks. There's a reason for that, right? We'll come back to that too. But I think everybody thinks it's got to be the big stuff.
And you know what they do? I go into homes, and everybody wants to start the conversation from an apologetic manner, like, yeah, I know I need new windows, right? And it's always, windows are usually the last things that we recommend. A, because the return on investment takes 25 years to recoup your investment, because, windows are anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000, right?
Yeah, that's a big ticket item.
And it takes you forever on your utility bill to recoup that. So that's not the thing that we typically recommend, right?
Right.
And like I said earlier, most of the things are pretty economical and easy to do, right? So if I go into a house and I'm doing an audit, I'll just kind of give you a brief, what I do. I usually start out at the outside looking for things that are pulling from your utility, like a pool or a hot tub, right? And then I head up into the attic and I check how much insulation's in there. And then from there I come out of the attic and we have something, I just like to refer to it as a blower door. I place it in the front door or the back door. And what it does is it depressurizes the house, kind of creating like a little vacuum. Right? So it's blowing air out of the house, creating a negative pressure within the home. So the home's going to try to rebalance with the outside pressure.
Gotcha.
So it's going to pull in air through all the cracks and crevices. So then I can go...
I bet that's shocking.
Yeah. So then I can go from room to room checking for leaks, right? And most of the leaks, most of the time, are coming from lack of caulking around the windows or lack of... weather stripping around doors, or basically just penetrations within drywall. So anywhere
there's a lot, aren't there?
Yeah, like anywhere you knock a hole in drywall,
right, and
you don't properly seal it back, that's going to be a penetration. So those are all pretty easy, low-cost item things.
Right.
Yes, 55 to 65% of your utility bill is from your HVAC unit. So if that thing is not running efficiently, of course your bill is going to be more expensive, right? But sometimes those just are tune-ups. Right? Making sure you have enough Freon in your AC.
Yeah. Simple things.
Yeah.
So when you come into a home, where do you start? Do you have like a checklist that you go through, or
I had to laugh. As the homeowner, as me?
As the auditor.
I start from the outside. because I got to see what's going on out there, because that plays a piece of it. And then I go to the attic, and then from there I go in the home. And usually as I'm going through the home, I like for the homeowner to go with me, right?
Okay.
Let's look, like I want to visually, I'm a kinesthetic learner, so that's how I teach,
Yep.
right? Like I want to show you like these things, because then it demystifies it and makes it easier. Like, oh yeah,
well,
I can hold a
education.
piece of a caulk gun and put caulk around my windows. That's easy, right? And I try to, so let's say the house is pretty leaky, right? It's got all these little tiny leaks throughout the house going on. The best way I can describe it to the homeowners is that all these little leaks, right, add up to a window being open on your home 24/7, 365.
Ouch.
No one would ever do that, right? Like no one would ever leave a window open in the middle of winter or the middle of summer with their heating or air going on. But all these little things are adding up to equal that.
And we don't see them.
Right, and we don't even think about them, right? Who goes and looks, the windowsill and then the piece of trim underneath the windowsill? Who looks at that? And that's usually
that's a big source of leaks.
Right there. Yeah, because the window's not sealed off there.
Right. Which is why when we're working with clients, we're always like, don't just get good windows, get windows that are well installed.
Yes.
Because a lesser window that's installed properly will give you a decent amount of benefit.
Absolutely.
And the best windows installed wrong or improperly, they're not gonna meet their performance numbers. And it's interesting because when we green certify homes now or remodels, there's actually a new infiltration number that they're now tracking on the windows themselves. Mm-hmm. So that infiltration and how much air gets through the window assembly itself, that has all become really important. So it's this whole idea of leakiness isn't just for existing homes, it's for new homes as well.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of it, is that we want to make sure that it's all put together as well as possible. Now, and a lot of times when I'm talking to people, they'll say, well, if I get the house too tight, then that's going to be a problem. And they're right.
You're right.
You do still need to have fresh air coming in, but on new homes that are built to be super tight, we have ventilation strategies and equipment. On most existing homes, everything that I have read and through my research has said, getting them too tight for an existing home is going to be really challenging.
Yeah,
because there's
I would
so
say
much in there that's a little
home
leaky.
built probably before 2005. Like, I don't even know how you would get it too tight. Air quotes around that.
So so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And if you are concerned about it, they can have another test run to see how tight it is, correct?
Yeah, definitely. And, and people, like, when you get to the too tight range, yes, we got to start talking about mechanical ventilation systems, right? And really, that problem I see more is in houses built, like, 2015.
I would say newer houses.
Yeah. But some of the ones that, like, I did a house this morning that was tighter, right? And my recommendation simply was use your exhaust fans.
Yeah.
When you're cooking, use your exhaust fan. When you're taking a shower and 20 minutes after your shower, use your exhaust fans.
Or turn it on when you get in the shower.
Right. But people don't even think about that.
And if you're the forgetful type, which I oftentimes can be, you can get little timers to go on your bath exhaust fans, or you can also get humidity sensors, and as soon as the sensor hits a certain humidity level, they'll automatically come on. Doesn't help with the toilet issue necessarily, but at least the humidity. And the other one we've seen is the occupancy sensors. So just automatically go on. But especially like when I had my teenage son living with me. Yeah, sensors could be my friend. Teenagers not so good about turning things on or off.
Right. Well, when I lived with my parents, I had a walk-in shower, right? And like, I never used the exhaust fan because it was already cold in there. And I'm like, the exhaust fan makes it so much colder. Right? Because I had no idea the point of an exhaust fan is to get humidity-laden air out of the home to prevent a microbial issue.
Right. Yeah. Mold and mildew are not our friends.
No.
Not our friends at all. So a lot of common sense stuff in how people operate their homes.
Right. Close the damper on your fireplace when you're not using it.
Right. And I know a lot of people say, but it's a hassle, and then I have to open it up when I do the next thing. And by the way, there are some fireplaces that you want to make sure you don't close them on. Is that correct? I was thinking there was some kind of ventilation. Anyway, check your manufacturer's instructions. That's always your best bet.
Yeah.
If in doubt, check your instructions or call the manufacturer. So,
but like in the summer, you know, like there's
right,
no
when you're not
need
using
for that to be open in the summer.
I had a gas fireplace in my old place, and we'd turn the pilot light off, close the damper, and that's what we did all summer. It worked. So, hey, let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk more about why utilities are paying for energy audits. Because that just sounds wacky to me.
Yeah, counterintuitive.
Yeah, exactly. Hang on, folks. We'll be right back.
Hey, you want to learn more about green homes and how technology is a part of them? Then go to greenhomepcoach.com/homepro. That's HOMEPRO. There you can learn more about green homes, what makes them green, and how to put all this information to use in your home and in your business and in your practice. There's all kinds of great information out there. We appreciate you staying tuned on the Green Gab, subscribing, leaving your reviews, so we can continue to make this a better show for you to learn more about getting value from green.
Well, we're back on the Green Gab, gabbing with Kim about energy audits, and I know this just sounds like, I think it's the word audit.
It is.
It sounds
with like
taxes.
the IRS, right?
But why is it kind of like that?
That's a good question, right? Like we're just going over and seeing where maybe the mistakes are?
Or the missing things?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd buy that. So somebody I ran across in my sometimes referred to it as an energy checkup for your home.
Yeah.
So you go to the doctor, get a checkup for your body.
Mm-hmm.
You have somebody do a checkup on your car. So same thing for your house.
Right. Yeah.
So audit, checkup, they all get the same result.
Right. How to have a healthier home and save on your utility bill, whatever you want to call it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were going to dive down the rabbit hole of why utilities are paying people like you to come out and do energy audits, air quotes, or checkups for their utility customers.
You know, a lot of people, like when I tell them that, they have a hard time believing it because I think there's this misconception that because we pay a utility company money for energy, that they're out to screw us, right? I mean, that's just...
It's hard business to be in, honestly.
Right?
Right.
And it's so funny because as much interaction as I've had with the utility companies, they authentically care about their members and being good stewards of the energy that they're producing and putting out there, right? And they want to do right by everyone. So that's why I think that they wanted to partner up with companies like the one I work for, is because they want to do right by everybody. And so if they can help the customer have a home that's more energy efficient, which also saves money, which also saves energy, right? Like everyone is happy at that point. The utility company's happy,
right.
The customer's happy, right? And it's this positive experience. And I think, honestly, like when I met you and I went to that summit or whatever you want to call it, right? Like most of the stuff they were talking about, I had no idea. But you could gather from it that they really truly care about the future and energy conservation and coming up with ways to be better stewards of the energy that we are using.
And so what I've been also told from a lot of people I know in the utilities and in the energy industry is that for a utility company to produce a unit of energy, there's a cost associated with that.
Yep.
And then when we go into peak load energy, which think 103-degree day in Oklahoma, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, that peak load energy goes above and beyond what they're normally producing and at a much higher cost. So for utility companies to help us level out our energy usage and be more efficient with how we use it helps them too.
Right.
So that they don't have to build more facilities to handle peak load production, so that they can normalize those loads. And there's a whole, oh my gosh, there's a whole background to utilities and the cost and the fluctuations and the power pools, and there's all kinds of big words associated with this. But there's a whole bunch that I never knew, and I got exposed to a lot of it at that conference we went to last year. And we were at the Association of Energy Efficiency Engineers and Oklahoma Renewable Energy Council. So it's a state conference here in Oklahoma, and there's going to be similar conferences or meeting of the minds in your state. You just have to do a little Googling to find it. And a lot of times these conferences are open to the public or guests. So if you're interested in learning more about them, check in and see what you can find in your neighborhood, because they're a great way to learn more about what's under the covers. I've also found a couple of groups here that I've gone to hear about solar, for instance, and how does renewable energy play into all this. So the utility companies have to think about all of this.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. I mean, not only do you have all that, the politics, keeping their customers happy,
Right.
keeping the government happy, keeping everybody happy.
Yeah.
And, I don't think a lot of people understand, especially the rural utility companies, right? Like there's a big, I'm not going to name any names, but there's a big utility company here that has a pretty good balance of commercial and residential. And that helps balance out their load, right? They don't have that really that up and down peak stuff going on, right? Because the commercial is balancing them out. But all these other rural utility companies, they don't have as much commercial property, so they're more heavy residential, so they've got more of that peak stuff up and down to worry about, and that affects their prices. It costs them more
to deliver the energy.
Yeah.
So this is the complicated backstory to the utility companies. And I learned there's something called the power pools, that all the companies that produce power dump their power, and this is overly simplified, folks, but they dump their power into this power pool, and then different companies that need to distribute that power out to their customers bid on it. And so all these factors come into play, which is why when we as consumers and customers can do something to improve our energy profile, it helps us to have a little bit more control over how we're impacting all that, and it helps a utility to have a little bit more control because they can predict a little better. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this whole thing, when we talk about energy efficiency, this isn't just some pie in the sky dream. There's real benefits to this for you, for your utility provider, for your bigger community. So,
for the environment, too.
Why not do it?
Right. And especially here when most of the utility companies are offering this complimentary to you.
And if they're not, so number one, check your utility company and see if they offer energy audits. A lot of them also offer an online energy tool.
Yes.
If your utility company does not offer an energy audit in your neighborhood, just Google it. Yeah. And you will find some folks that offer energy audits. A lot of times heating and cooling contractors will offer them. I personally liked going with someone independent, just because I didn't want them to be tied to a particular service or product. But that's also a great way to get one if you want to. Just know going in that their product or service may tie into that. But there's also associations that will have a whole list of these. The other place you can go is to the Energy Star website, and they will have a list of qualified Energy Star assessors, which is more rigorous than just an energy audit, but they definitely are a resource. And then ResNet is another resource that has energy auditors that do the HERS ratings.
Okay.
So Home Energy Rating Score Index. I think I got that right. You learn the acronyms, you forget what they stand for.
Right.
So there's definitely resources out there, and we'll put some of those in the show notes so you can get some ideas of where to go if you don't have an energy audit program through your own local utility. So with that being said, let's talk about some of the things you've seen, because I've got to know you've got some good stories.
So I'm going to tell you the most creepy one.
Okay.
Okay. I think I could be wrong, but as far as I know, I'm the only female auditor in the state of Oklahoma. So, right, I go to all these homes by myself, and I go to this house, and she's kind of like, I'm like, I need to go up into your attic. She's like, well, it's a little strange up there. Somebody was living up there. What? I'm like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
So I pull the attic access down. I go up in the attic, and it's a huge house. Like, this house is over 3,000 square foot, and it's a ranch style, so the attic area is huge.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So I go up in there, and I hit the platform, and the insulation was strange to begin with, because some of it had, some didn't. It was all different types. And I turn the corner, and there's a huge platform built up there, right? Just random in the middle of this house, which has a desk, which has a computer on it.
Oh.
Why do you have a computer in your attic? So I come down out of the house, out of the attic. Like, I'm already creeped out because I'm like, there's videos everywhere, right? And I'm like, okay, Kim, don't say anything to the homeowner. Like, these people could be crazy. You don't want them to know their secret. But I couldn't help it. I was just like, do you know you have a computer in your attic? She's like, yeah. The person that lived here before had a handyman that lived here, and he was up to some shady stuff, apparently.
Oh, my.
And why do you still leave that computer up in your attic now that you live here? Yeah.
Oh, the books that we could write, right?
Yeah. The other one, a good one, is this man built, he's an engineer, right? And so engineers love this energy efficiency
I
stuff,
bet.
right? So
Oh,
he's
I
like
bet.
nerding out. He's got this beautiful home, brand new, beautiful home. Again, it was another large home. And he's like, my bills are high. And like, he had crossed his T's, dotted his I's, right? Like, he had,
course.
he had heat pumps as his HVAC unit, you know, all Energy Star appliances. He had spray foam insulation in the attic, right? Like,
Wow,
so
that's the good stuff.
Yeah. So we go up into the attic, right? And like that, we call that an encapsulated home, right? So the
It's all sealed
temperature,
up.
yep. The attic is the same temperature as a home, right? Except they didn't put a door on the attic. So there was literally the size of like a doorway open to the garage, which is unconditioned air, which you don't pay to heat and cool.
Right.
So he was allowing all that unconditioned air from the garage up into
in
the
the
attic, which was then creating this environment where the heat and air system had to stay on longer, right? Like, which is like, you felt bad for this guy. Like, you spent...
He didn't notice that there wasn't a door?
I don't think he put together
Oh.
that you know, like,
Okay.
oh, I need a door to seal this off to keep all of my conditioned air in the home.
So I've been in a number of homes, particularly in the South, like Texas, Louisiana kind of place, where they'll have the second floor will be part living space, and then the rest will be unfinished space with the equipment and storage and attic space. And a lot of folks will not put an exterior, they'll just put an interior door without any weather stripping or anything between the attic and the living space.
I've never been to a house here in Oklahoma that has had an exterior door.
Seriously.
Every house that has attic access doors are hollow core doors with no weather stripping.
So you're just letting everything go through
Yeah.
from the attic to the house. So, folks, this is a really easy one. If you have an attic door, just seal it with some weather seal, you know, like the weather stripping, weather sealing, and if you have to, just insulate the back of the door.
Yeah, I always tell people...
Put some sheets of rigid foam up there, or get a new door that's got some insulation inside. That'll cut it out a ton.
Yeah.
I was in one home and they had 3 different attic areas, and every single one of them was like that.
Yeah, I just did one last week down in Durant that had 4 attic accesses, and the door didn't even fit properly in the jam. Right.
Ouch.
So, and I'm just like, get some foam board, that purple foam board, in the insulation section, glue it to the back of that door, however you adhese it to the back of the door, weather stripping around it. And something else, like for the older homes that have the little square attic access, right, inside the home, like, they need insulation on the back of that
Yes.
piece of drywall. They need weather stripping around those pretty pieces of
Yes.
trim around it, right?
And if you really want to get fancy, there's actually pre-built assemblies that are insulated for your attic hatch with weather stripping, but you can do it yourself so easy. It's not a big deal.
Right.
And I'm not a great DIYer, but I can even handle that. So let's talk about a couple of things that, let's say our listeners just haven't gotten to their energy audit yet, or there's a couple of quick tips that they want to know. What are some of the low-hanging fruit things that people can do in their homes right now to make it a little more energy efficient?
Go grab 2 little dills of caulk and from the inside of the house where the window meets the wood trim, just caulk all the way around the window, and then the bottom piece of trim on the windowsill, and then where the trim butts up against it, run a bead of caulk there.
So wherever the trim joins, and then where the trim joins the window or the drywall?
Yep.
Okay, so easy tip number 1.
Yep. Weather stripping around your doors.
Super easy, and that should be just a given.
Yeah.
And if you can see daylight between it, guys, you need to replace it or put a little piece in, because that means if you see air, if you see light, then air's coming through too.
And they make rigid back weather stripping, and that's adjustable.
Oh, cool.
So because no door really perfectly fits in a jamb, right?
Right.
So this will adjust to the curvature of that door. And then I guess LED.
I'm big on LEDs.
Yeah, LED lights, because your return on investment is, you get it so quickly, and that's an easy one. And
So-
don't run your pools 24/7.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Like, do not do that.
Yeah, right. Let it breathe. Our solar covers, that'll hold the heat in.
It's just that pump running 24/7. Like, I think a pool that you run 24/7 for a month or a week of the month costs you over $125 in electricity.
Dang.
Like, it just doesn't need to be run that much. I'm not a pool expert.
Right, but a little common sense here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, Kim, we could talk for hours, but we will not keep all y'all online while we do that. We will put in the show notes some of the resources that we've talked about, all of the resources we've talked about, and should people be able to contact you or other energy auditors, can we add that to the show notes as well?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we hope that you found a couple of quick things. One, go get an energy audit if you haven't had one yet. Even if you're a newer built home, you might be surprised, right?
Right.
I think there's always a surprise or two in there. Tons of resources online. And I think lastly, I think you'd agree with this, just do something. Take some action.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all easy, economical stuff, right?
Very cool. Well, I'm so excited. I had a dear friend in St. Louis who was a energy auditor there, and she tells very similar stories to you, so I'm so excited to have you here as well. And thank you so much for gabbing with everybody on the Green Gab today.
Yeah.
Well, hey, everyone, that is a wrap, and you have a great green day.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Hey, you want to learn more about green homes and how technology is a part of them? Then go to greenhomeccoach.com/homepro. That's HOMEPRO. There you can learn more about green homes, what makes them green, and how to put all this information to use in your home and in your business and in your practice. There's all kinds of great information out there. We appreciate you staying tuned on the Green Gab, subscribing, leaving your reviews, so we can continue to make this a better show for you to learn more about getting value from green. Living green or sustainably is about more than saving on your electric bill and doing your part to protect natural resources. It is about a safer and healthier life for you and your family without sacrificing style, quality, or budget. This is a movement to provide all of us with clean air to breathe and water to drink, safe, healthy food to eat and places to live, and energy to run the places where we live, learn, play, and work. The Green Gab podcast helps you get the value of green for you, your family, and your community. Whether it's green homes, green living, or the people who make it happen, join me, Marla Esser-Close, to learn how green and sustainability practices and products work for our world and you.